OK, let's turn our attentions to the Mirror then, because they've gone with War Games, and this is all about young Adam Wharton potentially going to Manchester United. They want to splash the cash and get Adam Wharton from Crystal Palace. I mean, great idea, because he's a great player, isn't he?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Proving himself for England as well.
Yeah, and there's a strange situation at the moment where you've got Adam Wharton and Elliot Anderson, two superb talents, young England players, outside of the big clubs. So there's clearly talent to be had if you're among the big six, as it were. I think for United it makes a lot of sense, because midfield has been, for me, their biggest weakness, really going back even to the end of the Fergie era. They never really replaced the Scholes, Carrick midfield. They've never been able to control games in the middle of the pitch in the way that a big club should be able to do. They've papered over the cracks with different solutions. I think it's been the worst part of Ruben Amorim's football, has just been this absence in midfield. It's partly the formation, but it's partly just not having players that can take the ball and control a game and play a pass. And Adam Wharton's, you know, he stands out among young England players, among English midfielders we've seen in the last 10, 15 years, just because of his almost Spanish-style skills in that regard. So I could see how he would be perfect for them, but I can imagine they won't be the only club looking at him.
No, it'll be interesting. I mean, he missed out, didn't he, in the last camp for England, which perhaps, you know, he was proving a point to Thomas Tuchel in terms of his performances for Crystal Palace just recently. Is that somewhere where you feel that Manchester United, as Jonathan was saying, really need to strengthen? Looking at Liverpool last season, it was almost their midfield, wasn't it, that won them the Premier League? Is that something that they really need to strengthen?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think they've been really poor in midfield for quite a while. Also, I think they're especially poor because the system that he wants to play with only two men in the middle, like obviously there's a lot of onus on those guys to do a lot of running. And I think compared to basically almost all the other big Premier League teams, they look really poor in there physically. So I think they definitely need more energy, more fresh legs in there. And I think Wharton's an amazing player. I think he's probably the closest England has produced to a kind of Michael Carrick type player in the last 20 years. So I think, and he definitely looks like somebody who could easily make the step up to any team in the country.
Yeah, Charlie, is there something you agree with in terms of the fact that they're talking about Kobbie Mainoo and Casemiro could be the ones that go?
I think he'd fit in brilliantly. I mean, it's an interesting one with Wharton, though, because I mean, it strikes me that Tuchel doesn't necessarily fancy him.
Why do you think that is?
And I don't know. I mean, he's only played once for England, and when he announced his latest squad, Tuchel said he spoke about the players that he called to say that you're not in the squad. It was interesting that Kyle Walker wasn't one of them. Yeah, and he named Wharton. So obviously he's in his thoughts, but I still think he would have been in the squad now.
Yeah,
it's curious, a player that good.
Will be worked out. Man United Wandaway will get his wish in January after manager's admission. One Football Steady News. Will be worked out. Man United Wandaway will get his wish in January after manager's admission. Manchester United striker Joshua Zirkzee is seeking a way out of Old Trafford in January in the hopes of rescuing his World Cup hopes. The Dutchman has been playing for the Red Devils since completing a £36.5 million transfer from Bologna in the summer of 2024. While he wasn't able to replicate his goal-scoring stats in his first season in England, Mainoo managed to win the respect and appreciation of his manager, Ruben Amorim, as well as the fanbase, albeit after an unsavory incident that saw him cheered off the pitch by the Old Trafford home supporters in late December. Joshua Zirkzee told he must leave Man United to fight for World Cup berth this season. The 24-year-old has been struggling for playing time following the arrivals of Benjamin Sesko, Brian Mbeumo, and Mateus Cunha. He has only collected 83 minutes across all competitions, and he has yet to start a match. Therefore, TBR chief correspondent Graham Bailey reveals how the striker's lack of playing time has been hampering his World Cup chances. The source reveals that the Netherlands manager, Ronald Koeman, has informed Zirkzee about his desire to reinstate him into the squad, but only if he's able to play a prominent role at club level. Hence, the former Bayern Munich man has asked Man United to grant him leave in January if his situation under Amorim doesn't change in the coming weeks or months. Interestingly, the club's officials are seemingly willing to cooperate. I am told that Zirkzee has had conversations with United and they are aware of his situation. He wants to go to the World Cup finals, but he won't given the current status quo, revealed Bailey. That means a move, and that will be worked out before January. Xerxes has admirers in Serie A, especially Roma. Luckily for the striker, he still has a host of suitors on the continent, especially in Serie A, as his exploits with Bologna remain fresh in the mind. As reported earlier today by La Gazzetta dello Sport, Roma are interested in signing Xerxes, as their new manager, Gian Piero Gasparini, has been keen to work with the versatile attacker since his time at Newcastle United. Have heard that Manchester United could come after Eddie Howe should Ruben Amorim lose his job this season. One Football Sports View. Newcastle United have heard that Manchester United could come for manager Eddie Howe should Ruben Amorim lose his job this season, according to the Telegraph. As a result, Newcastle's owners are all the more determined to give Howe what he wants in order to prove to him that his long-term future remains at the St. James Park club. The Magpies are closing in on the appointment of Ross Wilson as their new sporting director, with their manager recommending the Nottingham Forest chief. While Paul Mitchell and Howe had a fractious relationship at times, Wilson and Howe are expected to have a smooth working relationship as his appointment has been pushed by the Newcastle boss. The Magpies are protected from unwanted approaches by a multi-million-pound release clause in Howe's contract, but they know it will not stop the bigwigs from attempting to lure him away. Amorim is under pressure at Man United, and while the minority owner, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, says he will not be getting fired anytime soon, nothing is guaranteed in football. Howe had been on their radar at the Old Trafford club for a while following his impressive spells at Bournemouth and Newcastle. They could come calling should they part ways with the Portuguese this season. However, the Magpies' boss does not have any interest in leaving for a new challenge, and the club are ensuring he knows how important they see him. Newcastle won the Carabao Cup last season and are currently playing in the Champions League for the second time in the last 3 seasons. The Toons boss has been continually supported by the club owners, and they are ready to keep doing so as they look to establish themselves as credible challengers across all competitions. While Man United remain one of the biggest clubs on the planet, Newcastle have been on the up in recent years, and leaving them for the Red Devils no longer looks appealing.